Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the Retail Tales. This is episode 2 of the podcast series, and I can't tell you how thrilled I've been with such an awesome response to the first episode. I've received so many DMs on LinkedIn, so many emails from colleagues, clients, and my industry network of leaders. It's not even funny. Been receiving all sorts of things, everything from congratulations to kudos for starting a conversation focused on AI in retail. Some people found it insightful, and a few of you said the topic resonated with you completely. One of the senior executive leaders from a global apparel retail company sent me a message just maybe 3 days ago. And she wrote how almost every consulting company came to her with use cases without even asking once what she was mandated to do. Without knowing what her company's goals or objectives were, she was just bombarded with use case ideas and associated benefits. And she wrote how she found the first episode not just insightful, but practical, since she was struggling with the exact same question: where should she begin the generative AI journey for her company? So if you've not had a chance to listen to it, please go check it out. Another note I got, which had a rather introspective tone, I got a message from a long-term client of mine, more like a peer in the industry. He sent me an email asking me how I'm getting time for this, especially with my day job as a retail AI leader at one of the most prestigious global consulting firms. And my response to him was that I'm actually making time for this. And the motivation is simple. This gives me the perfect opportunity. It's a perfect blend of 3 things that I love doing the most professionally. 1, focusing on solving retail signature issues with AI. 2, talking to industry leaders and listening to their stories, learning from them. And 3, learn and evolve continuously. So it's not just a win-win for me, it's more like a win-win-win. And then I've been getting some valuable suggestions, things like what I should cover in future episodes, who I should request to be on the podcast, a few more stories about my experiences with retail clients, and so on and so forth. For all the support, all these suggestions and your thoughts, thank you, and please keep them coming. At the same time, I also want to say that all your suggestions are noted, and I will try to bring them to life over the next few episodes. For this episode, I'd like to share my top 5 predictions for AI in retail in 2024. You're listening to the Retail Tales, a podcast exclusively for all things AI across the retail value chain. I am Saurabh, and I'm your host for this podcast. In my day job, I partner with C-suite and executive leaders of retail companies on top-line growth, customer acquisition and retention, margin optimization, and productivity improvement. And I do all this by adopting AI-first mindset for business models and operations. I have more than 17 years of experience in helping retail and consumer products companies unlock enterprise value through AI and automation. Throughout this period, I worked with global retail brands and leaders from North America, EMEA, and Asia-Pac. All right, back to the topic. My top 5 2024 predictions for AI in retail. I have seen and read predictions from several people, several leaders for AI in general, or retail in general. But none of them, or at least I haven't seen any, specifically address the topic of what AI could bring in 2024 to transform retail as we know it. For customers, for associates or employees, and then for retailers themselves. So let's jump in. My prediction number 1 is that retail will have a few mini disruptions in 2024. From big box retailers to specialty retail, I think there will be several features built and launched by retailers to drive better customer engagement and retention. More and more point solutions could also emerge as part of this. And players like Google, Salesforce, Microsoft are already helping retail organizations with these features. If NRF and CES in January 2024 were to be considered barometers of AI and generative AI innovation in retail, the retail industry could potentially lead the way. Gen AI-enabled solutions, or at least features, to solve for retailers' signature issues like shrink or ORC, last mile delivery, or loyalty could come to fore. Now, it remains to be seen whether these features or solutions will be built and deployed at scale in 2024. More than likely not, but these would be steps in the right direction. If you remember 2007, when iPhone was launched, and then a year later, App Store was launched, it took 18 months or so for a certain Uber to launch after the iPhone launch. My point is, we are in that phase right now. Since generative AI was pretty much brought to mainstream in November 2022, we are in the phase where a group of entrepreneurs, probably sitting and working out of a garage somewhere, aiming to truly disrupt retail as we know it. And 2024 could be the year when this sort of disruption begins. Obviously, with a few mini disruptions to show for. The good thing is, it's not 2007. And some of the retailers are already trying to disrupt themselves, or more like transform themselves in the market. And they're doing it with their innovative and leading-edge offerings and solutions to their customers and employees. But the not so good news is that not all retailers are doing so. Not all retailers seem to have a disruptive mindset. But those who do have these disruptive intentions will benefit the most. All right, so prediction number 2, AI-powered discovery, personalization, and customer service. As AI continues to become more mainstream, retailers will focus on more innovative ways to engage with their customers, like Gen AI-powered product discovery at the fingertips of their customers. It will start with being an innovative offering before becoming an omnipresent feature across most retailers. More like an expectation than an innovation. Either way, there's no escaping these types of offerings. But even when these offerings become more standardized across retailers, the winners will be the ones who crack the code of doing it accurately and streamline the available data to make it as personal as possible for the customers. Imagine you are hosting your friends for a Super Bowl party. And instead of buying individual products online for this party, you buy based on this exact same context. Imagine going to your favorite retailer's website or app and searching for, help me plan a Super Bowl party for a group of 5 friends who are all Chiefs fans. And then imagine getting suggestions for all kinds of products that you'll need for a splendid party. Basically, acting like a personal concierge to help you plan and buy all the relevant products. Some of which, by the way, you didn't even think about or didn't even know existed, or probably you didn't even know your retailer even carried. Almost inspiring you. And then it shows you the brand of beer, for instance, that you always buy rather than showing you a sponsored product or a featured product or a brand that you have never bought before. That kind of personalized experience is what's going to keep bringing the customer back to a retailer. But as I said earlier, the winners will be those who do it time and again, accurately and at scale. The word scale is really the key here for retailers, and accuracy is the key for customers. These type of customer-facing use cases could be force multipliers and game changers for retailers. But if not designed and implemented properly, they could also backfire that easily. So as a retailer, you must really know what you're getting into. Done correctly, efficiently, and effectively, these could be the primary growth drivers. If not, customers will switch for retailers which make their lives simpler and do it seamlessly, without any friction. All right, moving on to prediction number 3, which is almost in alignment to the first 2. So in a way, you could say it's 1A or maybe 2A, but I'm calling it 3. And that's because it does require a little bit of conversation on its own. So my prediction number 3 is that 2024 is going to be a year of reckoning for some retailers and retail executives when it comes to AI and its application in retail, especially for those who started their generative AI journey in order to take the first mover advantage. Look, 2022 November is when ChatGPT took the world by storm. 2023 was when retailers got themselves familiarized with the whole concept of generative AI and got excited by it, and possibly set off on their generative AI journey with either an overall strategy or a couple of POCs or both. Now, I don't need to tell you that a strategy that lacks execution is just another set of documents waiting to be stockpiled in the bin. And POCs are cute and exciting, but they don't deliver value. They're mostly happy path. They're safe, but no real value. Which brings me to 2024. This year, the spotlight will be on retail leaders to execute the generative AI strategy and secure the first mover advantage or even become a fast follower. This year, retail executives will be required to deliver on their hopes and promises from their POCs and deliver those offerings at scale. And this is where the true test of an organization's AI and data maturity will come into picture. I can't tell you how many conversations I've had in the past few months where leaders would just like to believe that GenAI is a magic wand which will fix everything for them. Newsflash, it's not. It's not a magic wand. It is magical and it is transformational if you leverage it correctly. But it's neither a magic wand nor a panacea. Anyway, so the spotlight will be on executives to deliver or at least start delivering on the overall promise of generative AI within their organizations. But as a customer, I'm super stoked. Whatever retailers do in order to win in the market, the ultimate beneficiary is going to be the customer, which makes me super, super happy. All right, enough said on that one. My prediction number 4 is BYO AI. Bring your own AI to work. I was actually reading a report the other day from Forrester, and it said more than 60% of employees will utilize their own AI to perform their tasks. This stat in particular should be a reason of concern for employers, especially if these BYO AI tools stay outside of their enterprise governance, or worse yet, there is no enterprise governance. Think about the risks of your IP and confidential data getting outside of your firewall, because one of your supply chain analysts decided to prompt an open source AI model to perform an analysis about your inventory positions, or one of your merchants wanted to gather insights on your buying patterns data. I can go on and on with such use cases, but I know you get the drift. Look, I'm sure these things are great for boosting individual productivity and could be great for the overall work-life balance as well. But the fact of the matter is, it might lead to things getting out of control, especially with proliferation of AI tools in the market and an uptick in their adoption. Remember the example where a couple of employees of a Fortune 500 company allegedly ended up uploading some of the company's sensitive source code and hardware-related internal meeting notes to OpenAI just to get optimized and summarized outputs? Do you remember that? I'm not going to name the company, but it's just a quick search away. That's what I'm talking about. In fact, according to a report from Cyberhaven, sensitive data makes up 11% of what employees paste into ChatGPT. And 2024 is only going to see an uptick in this trend. I give you 2 words to minimize and mitigate risks associated with this trend, or rather prediction. And the 2 words are governance and literacy. And I'd leave it at that. And finally, prediction number 5, which is mandate from customers for more transparency, privacy, and data security. Customers are already savvier than ever. And with the growing adoption of AI tools and point solutions in the market, customers will start becoming more knowledgeable about implications of AI being rampant. They will demand their favorite retail brands to be more transparent about usage of AI that impact their buying behavior and decision making during the customer lifecycle. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if shareholders start asking for more transparency in financial reports from retailers on their use of AI across their business operations. Retailers will need to prioritize hardcore data protection measures to maintain trust from their customers. I really think collect and protect should be the go-to policy for retailers when it comes to customer data. If you collect it, you gotta protect it, especially as customers become more and more savvy about these risks. I think this is also a natural evolution as customers are now more informed and concerned about the potential misuse of their personal information. Here's what I believe though. I believe it's a tremendous differentiation opportunity. Retail brands that prioritize customer data security and transparency could turn this into a market differentiator for themselves. Consumers are more likely to engage with and remain loyal to a retailer which prioritizes their privacy needs and protects their information. A retailer that is transparent in how and where they're using AI across the customer journey. I'm going to keep a very close eye on this trend, especially with regulations playing catch up with technology. So those are my top 5. There are a few other predictions that made to my top 10 list, but not my top 5. Predictions like more litigations in the retail industry, inadequate technology and lack of AI talent for retailers to bring scale to their AI offerings, introduction of agentic AI systems to execute complex business processes seamlessly, rise of quantum computing and implications for retailers, and large investments from retailers on generative AI infrastructure or using constructs such as AI as a service or AI infrastructure as a service. These, in my opinion, will continue to happen in the background in 2024, among several other developments. And for these, 2025 could be the year. 2024 is a little too soon for these. So these were my top 5 predictions for AI in retail for 2024. Keep your DMs coming, and if you like the content, don't forget to follow this show to learn a thing or two about retail AI. You can follow this show on Spotify or Apple Podcast and join the conversation, which is focused on all things AI across the retail value chain. On that note, it's a wrap on the second episode of the Retail Tales. Thanks for tuning in. Here's me, your host, Saurabh, signing off. Join me in the next episode of the Retail Tales. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay curious.